Okay, hello everyone, and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name's Matt, and this is kind of my maker's podcast, I guess I'll call it. It's mainly focused on knitting right now, but I do enjoy making a lot of different things and have a lot of different hobbies, so I'll call it a maker's podcast because sometimes there might be a few things here and there that aren't directly related to knitting. But if you're watching again from my first video, I just want to say thank you so much. I think at the time that I'm recording this video, there's about 180 views or so on my first video, and I never would have even thought that it would get to that many. I honestly didn't even think it would get over maybe 50 or so views, so thank you so much for enjoying that video and watching that video, and if you're back, glad to see you again. So yeah, this is episode number 2 of what I'm calling is, I guess, the Cozy Corner Makers Podcast. Today, I have a few finished objects, some more works in progress, and then some acquisitions as well. So when I recorded my first video, I wasn't able actually to see myself, but I now have a monitor on the floor, so if you look at me looking over to the floor, I'm just trying to see how the camera looks, so hopefully I'll be able to do a few more close-ups on the objects and yarns that I have. Yeah, so just hopefully that'll work out a little bit better this time. So this week I'm not wearing anything related to knitting or anything. This is just a shirt I got actually in Seoul, South Korea that was for a charity related to the SPCA and for the adoption of cats with a celebrity. If you know about Haha, the celebrity who's on Running Man in Korea, this is a shirt in collaboration with him and basically what's like the SPCA in Korea. So yeah, that's what I'm wearing now, but moving on to my finished objects, the first one I have is not knitting related, but also something that I really enjoy doing and have passion for, which is painting pets. So my brother asked me to paint his girlfriend's cats for a card. I really enjoy painting pets on cards to give to people so that you can have a nice message within it and then maybe frame it or keep the card for later with the artwork on the front. So this is a finished object of her 2 cats that I painted using watercolors. If it's gonna focus here, yeah, there we go there. That's her 2 cats on a card, and yeah, this was just for her birthday that he asked me to make, so that's my first finished object, even though it's not related to knitting or anything. Okay, now moving on to my first finished knitted object, and something I'm really excited to show you guys is my this is the Stockholm Slipover V-neck by Petite Knit. This is actually the first ever finished knitted object I've ever completed. It's actually a gift for a friend, so that's why it's a little bit smaller than something I would normally wear. But because I believe I did the size small, it took me about 2 weeks to complete, so it was very quick. I had talked about it in my first video, and it was a work in progress there, but I ended up completing it by the time I'm recording the second video, so this is it here. I used the recommended yarn for this. I used Sandisgarn Sunday in the color 3091, and then I held it together with Knitting for Olive Soft Silk Mohair in the color Bark. Just add a little bit of bright contrast, if you can see here, to the dark of the brown. I think it turned out really nice. It was definitely a quick knit. Like I said in my first video, the pattern is very beginner friendly. I would definitely recommend it to any beginners, especially if you don't know short rows or increases or decreases. Once you learn them, this can be a very quick and satisfying knit once you finish it. So you just start with the back, and then you cast on for the shoulders and increase and decrease to shape the shoulders. Attach it in the middle there, and then you knit in the round. I believe I had started knitting in the round in my last video, and I have finished it for this video. And then after you knit in the round, you just finish the armholes and the bottom and the V-neck using ribbing, and then a decrease at the bottom there to get the stitch on the V, which I think is a nice touch to it. But yeah, this is my first knitted object. Really excited to show you guys it. And now to my second knitted object, finished knitted object. It is the Anilia hat by Alexandra Solowaniuk. And this is a 2-color brioche hat that calls for a hand-dyed DK with a boucle yarn. So I believe the pattern calls for boucle, drops boucle, I believe. but I used the Essayer Boucle, which was 100% alpaca, and I used it with hand-dyed DK from the Frosted Stitch in the color Last Goodbye. So this is my second finished knitted object I ever made, and it's actually a gift for my aunt. The inspiration behind this hat was kind of the woods in fall, because my family spends a lot of Thanksgivings at my aunt's house, and her house is surrounded by a lot of forests that look exactly like this in the fall. So the Last Goodbye DK kind of reminded me of the bark of the trees, and then the Essayer Boucle, the orange for the leaves changing in fall. So yeah, I had to learn the brioche stitch for this one, but it took me a while to learn the cast on. It calls for a tubular cast on, and I had a lot of problems with that, so I ended up going for a different cast on. But I believe I did the pearls and the knits on the wrong stitch on my cast on, so it's not as stretchy as it could be, I believe. But yeah, that's just something I can try to fix moving on to a new project or moving forward. But yeah, so definitely learned a lot with this one, whether it be a new cast on or the two-color brioche stitch. But yeah, you just knit the brioche stitch all the way up for the body and then begin doing decreases to shape for the crown. The cool thing about this hat is that it can actually be worn either way. So you can either wear it like this, where you have the boucle fuzzy part being the mane, or you can wear it the other way and have the hand-dyed yarn be the mane, and then when you flip up the brim, it just shows the other one. So I think that's really, really cool. But yeah, that's my second finished object, and definitely turned out really, really well. Now moving on to my works in progress, because I had two finished objects, I actually cast on two new works in progress this week. But I'll start with a work in progress that I had mentioned in my first video, and that is the sweater number 6 by My Favorite Things Knitwear, and this is it here. So this week I've completed the body with knitting in the round, and then it calls for an I-cord edge finish off, which I completed as well. So I've fully completed the body and then did the I-cord. And for this one I'm using Studio Donegal wool in this tweed color that they have, which is the gray tweed. It is a little bit smaller than the recommended yarn, but I just went up a size and I'm hoping it will make up for that. So yeah, I'll throw it on here because I finished the body and now I'm just working on the sleeves. So this is it here. It's a little bit tighter than I would normally wear for a sweater, but I think it could be a nice kind of light sweater to wear in whether it be early fall or late summer. But yeah, with the I-cord edge, I think it adds a nice little touch to the bottom, and I think it's really cool. I'm hoping the way that it folds up like this will come out when I block it, but definitely a nice sweater. I definitely love the tweed. I like how it looks, the gray and the tweed color, or the tweed with the different colors. But yeah, now I'm just working on, as you can see here, I have cast on the stitches for the arm, or for the sleeve, and I'm just going to be working the sleeve, and then move on to the second one, work the sleeve, and then to finish the neck, I believe it's another I-cord edge on the neck, and then I-cord edge on the sleeves as well. So definitely cool little touch with the I-cord to finish off what would be kind of a plain raglan sweater, but definitely pretty cool. It's coming along, and hopefully I'll have this finished pretty soon to cast on another sweater. But that's my first work in progress this week. Definitely a easy pattern, especially if you know how to do raglan. This is my first raglan sweater, so it took me a little bit to learn the raglan increases and decreases, but definitely a cool sweater to start, and then I think would be a nice kind of light sweater if you're looking for that to wear, whether it be in summer nights or early fall, something like that. But that's my first work in progress. And now moving on to my second work in progress, which is new this week. It is the weekend hat by Petite Knit. So because I had finished my other hat, I enjoy making hats, so I cast on another hat. So I'm hoping to kind of have 2 big projects on the go and then 1 accessory. So kind of 3 things that I can alternate between. So because I did have a hat that I finished, I cast on another hat, and it's the weekend hat by Petite Knit. So I'm knitting this in Sandisgarn Double Sunday, which is one of the recommended yarns, and it is in the color 2563. And it's just kind of a light brown. So far I've done the first part of the pattern, which is just to do a 1x1 rib. And then I believe you do some double knitting, and then you fold it over on itself, and then do more rib, and then another double knitting. I believe it's a triple folded hat for the brim, and then you just do more knitting for the main body, and then shape it with decreases for the crown. But it involves a lot of double knitting, which is something I've never done, so I'm definitely going to have to look up a tutorial for that. But it's coming along nicely. I just do this one right before bed because it's kind of just knits and purls for the 1x1 rib. But yeah, this was just cast on yesterday, and I've done about this much, so it's coming along. And that's my second work in progress. And now my third work in progress, which is also new this week, and kind of my main whip that I do during the day, is the halibut sweater by Boylan Knit. So this is the halibut sweater here. This is my first colorwork sweater, and it is, I've done, I think, about 30 rows of the colorwork out of the 60 plus that there is. So this is it here. As you can see, it has the diamond and then kind of the fishtails you can see at the bottom there. But yeah, this is my first colorwork sweater. It's definitely very therapeutic to follow the colorwork chart. So I just kind of follow it and then do this during the day when I have a little bit more time to be focused, and can do it, spend a little more time thinking about it so that I get the chart right. But this is the halibut sweater, and I'm doing this in Saunders Yarn Co. In their Sunday Morning DK, which is 75% BFL and 25% Masham. And I'm doing the main color here in Hot Cocoa or Cocoa, and then the colors I'm doing in the color Personal Space. So I'm using these 2 here. I really, really love this yarn. I found it the last time I went to the Knitting Loft, and yeah, it feels really nice. It is kind of toothy but also soft. So doing the color work, it holds together really well. I'm really, really enjoying it. And then, I don't know if you can see here on the blue, it's kind of got not dyed all the way through, or some strands aren't dyed all the way. So it kind of has a dark kind of black fiber to it, which I think adds a nice little effect with the brown. The colors they have from Sonder Yarn Co. Are very desaturated, not too bright, and I think that works out really nice. I'm really, really loving this yarn together, and this is my first time using it, or the first time seeing it ever. I believe it's a new company. The person at the Knitting Loft was telling me that it's a new company, and it's pretty hard to find their yarns online and stuff like that, and the yarn that they had in store was just from a pop-up that they had. So I grabbed these yarns for the halibut sweater, and I'm working through it. I decided it gives you 3 options for the neck. You can either do turtleneck, mock turtleneck, or then crew neck. So I decided to go with the crew neck version because I really enjoy crew neck sweaters. And I started that out. You just do a 1x1 rib and then get right into the color work chart that involves the increases for the yoke. So I think it's turning out pretty well. I love the contrast of the brown and the blue together. But yeah, that's my last work in progress currently, and it is the halibut sweater by Boylan Knit. Now moving on to my acquisitions. I have some more acquisitions this week. My mom and I went to the Knitting Loft this weekend because they have a 20% off everything sale if you're subscribed to their newsletter for the month of July. So I went down to take advantage of that, and I picked up some yarns from that, so I'll show you guys right now. So the first things I picked up was these yarns here. I'll go through them. I've been definitely in a yellow mood lately, and I have an idea of a outfit using kind of a very yellow woolly vest worn over a white dress shirt with brown trousers. So that's kind of my inspiration for this project. So I picked up the Knitting for Olive Merino in the color Quince, I believe. It might be quiche, but I'm not sure. Quince. But yeah, this one here, which is a nice kind of rustic yellow. And then I also picked up the Knitting for Olive Merino in the color Dusty Banana. So a kind of a more dusty yellow. But yeah, these I'm going to hold together with the Isair Spinny, which is 100% pure new wool, and it's color 35S, I believe. And that's this one here as the lace. So I'm going to hold the two fingering, which is 25 meters per 50 grams, 250 meters per 50 grams. I'm going to hold these two together with this to create kind of a very chunky, woolly yellow vest for my idea of the outfit I have in my head. But yeah, that's my first acquisition. After finishing the first vest, the Stockholm slipover vest from Petite Knit, I think the pattern I'm going to use for this one is the holiday slipover, which I saw another YouTuber wear actually. I'll post her channel in the description box below for how she was wearing it, but it definitely inspired me to create kind of just a big chunky woolly vest or slipover, and that's what I'm going to use these for because I've definitely been in a yellow mood. So that's my first pickup. Okay, so the next acquisition has a little bit of a story behind it. So I've been watching a lot of YouTube videos here on YouTube for knitting podcasts, and I came across a wonderful channel called Teti's Knit Garden, which is made by a wonderful knitwear pattern designer. She just creates absolutely beautiful colorwork pieces. So I showed it to my mom, and she absolutely fell in love with the pattern called the Finbos pullover, which is gray, and her colorway was a gray and kind of burgundy colorwork sweater with lace finishing. So I'll put a picture of it here. But yeah, so my second acquisition was to create that sweater for my mom, and the colors we decided on were these here. So this is from the Twisted Willow, which are hand-dyed yarns, and these are merino linen singles, so 90% superwash merino and 10% linen, and you get about 394 yards per 100 grams. So we went with a very similar color to the one that she did for her pattern, and this is the Dainty colorway, which is gray and has a little bit of red in it, or burgundy, I guess. And then for the colorwork part, we went with the color Love Note, which is this one here, which is kind of a purple burgundy. So these ones I'm going to be holding together, or not holding together, but this will be the sweater here with this one the main color, and this one the colorwork. So this one is a plan down the line. Something I'll definitely have to work up to, since it does use a few techniques I've never done before, such as the lace for the collar and then finishes, as well as her colorwork has reversed floats. So you pull the yarn float from the back to the front, so it adds kind of a cool design piece that I've never seen before. So that's something to work through as well. But yeah, they didn't have the recommended yarn that she used, but this is the exact same yarn makeup, so the 90% merino and then the 10% linen. So I'm hoping, and the exact same weight, so I'm hoping it'll turn out pretty similar and work perfectly for that sweater design. But yeah, that's my second acquisition this week and my last one. So I did want to talk about one thing. So I have this here, and this is a hand dye or a hand spun yarn that I have that I really love the green and pinks for, that I thought would be a perfect color for a hat. if I could describe myself with a color, I believe this would be the color combination I would choose. So I'm really hoping to make a kind of a special hat. I have about 158 yards in this. I don't know if you guys know of any patterns that I could make a hat for, or knit a hat with 158 yards. If there's anything similar or maybe a little bit more or a little bit less that you know, please let me know. I'm kind of looking for kind of the hipster hat that's kind of the short crown with the short folded brim. I've been looking on Ravelry and online, but I haven't been able to find a pattern that I like a lot to use this for. So if you guys have any recommendations, please let me know in the comments, and I'd definitely be like to check them out just to make something special with this. Okay, so that's it for episode number 2. Again, I just want to say thanks so much for the love on the first video. I never would have expected to get that many views on the first video, so yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this one as well. If you guys like seeing kind of what I'm working on or some finished things, you can follow me on Instagram. I post kind of my finished objects with kind of a little graphics that I draw on there, just to add a little bit more flair or cuteness or funniness to my finished objects. But yeah, my Instagram's in the description link below, or description box below, and I'll see you guys in another 2 weeks, unless I come up with a video idea in between. Then I'll see you guys sooner. But yeah, probably 2 weeks or so, and I'll come back with another Makers podcast. I hope you guys enjoyed this one, and I hope to see you again. Thanks.